Enter the realm of KSBM Radio's creation. Student-led from inception to narration. Crafting content from dawn until dusk. All students involved in the work and the fuss. In the heart of Townview where voices reside. Student-led discussions where ideas collide. From interviews with leaders, peers, and businesses. Just watch us work, creating innovative content. Every aspect managed with student finesse. From podcast production to social media press. No task too daunting, no challenge too grand. KSBM Radio, we taking a stand. KSBM Radio, students leading the way. Every task idea, we seize the day. Witness now as all of our efforts break through. KSBM Radio, the voice of Townview.
I'm closer to the music.
Broadcasting live from Marvin E. Robinson School of Business and Management, Dallas, Texas.
My radio station.
We are KSBM Radio, the voice of Townview.
Hello, everyone. This is KSBM Radio, the voice of Townview. I'm Bruce, and I'm joined by my co-hosts,
Ruby.
Richie.
And today we continue our SPM 50 and TMC alumni series. This year, we're celebrating graduates who once sat where we sit now and are showing us how far a Townview education can really take you. Our guest today is Miss Antoinette Wright, a proud graduate of the Business Magnet of 2001. After leaving business, she earned her bachelor's degree and MBA from Florida A&M University. She has built an outstanding career in global supply chain and sourcing, living in 7 different states and traveling to more than 30 different countries. And now serving as the Chief Supply Chain Officer at Carnival Corporation, she leads a team of more than 300 people and oversees $10 billion in annual spending for 4 cruise lines. Mrs. Wright, welcome back to Townview. We're honored to have you with us today. Is there anything you want to share with us, with our listeners, before we begin?
First, I have to make one correction. I actually graduated from the High School for Health Professions. I was HSHP. But you're correct about all the rest of it. I've majored in business and I run businesses. So that'll be a fun part of our story today.
Why did you choose to attend HSHP at Townview and what made it the right school for you?
When I was in high school or going to high school, I wanted to be a heart surgeon with all my heart. If you had asked me when I was 15, 16, even 17, what I was going to do in my life, I would have told you I was going to be a heart surgeon, the best one that ever was. And so high school for health professions was the only option that I had considered because of all that it offered. And I guess why was it the right school for me? Because it gave me access to all of the prerequisites that I would have needed to go to a pre-med program at a major university. And also it gave me real life experience. It was going to give me real life experience with the internships that were required. And so, yeah, that's why I chose HSHP.
Okay, for a second question, when you think back your time at Health, what is one memory that stands out the most?
I really enjoyed the labs. We had medical lab. We did a lot of application of things we learned, which I learned later in life is something you only get through real life experience or graduate school. For the most part, when you're in school, you're just learning about things and they don't give you opportunities to actually try it out. And so I just remember doing all types of real life work in class, and it was fascinating and inspiring, and it stretched my mind in all kinds of new ways. And so, yeah, that would be my experience. And I think all the other schools have similar experiences. There was a courtroom and a daycare and the store. So there were different applications across all the schools at Townview where folks got to learn and explore what they were learning in real life, experiences.
What was the culture of health professions at Townview like when you were a student?
So when I went to Townview, it was only 3 or 4 years old. Health profession school was much older, just like the other schools there, but they were all in different buildings throughout the city. So they had just come together in the Townview building. I think maybe it was 3 or 4 years old. I'm at the age now where some of the files start to get deleted. So I think, let's just say it was 3 or 4 years old. So it was brand new. Everything inside the school was new. We were in the newest school in the whole district. Other than Skyline, which had been around for a while, we were the only school that had this type of setup. And so the culture was vibrant, alive. The best students in the city wanted to attend Townview because it was special, it was new. So that's what I remember. Just a lot of good people, good times, a lot of really smart people all around, really driven to try to be great in their respective areas.
Since you're talking about your experience at HSHP, how did this school prepare you for college and beyond?
So I already told you guys that I actually, you can see I didn't become a heart surgeon. And I would actually say I have HSHP to thank for that. So those internships that you do, they're really good for two things. One, they give you experience and exposure to the work that you will be doing. And sometimes they help you either really lean into it or realize that it's something that isn't really for you. The latter was my experience. So I did 2 internships, but my second internship was in my senior year. Because I wanted to be a surgeon, they paired me with the VA hospital, and I did rotations with the head surgical nurse at the VA hospital for 3 months. So I went to an open heart surgery. I actually stood next to the anesthesiologist and looked in a patient's chest while they were having surgery. I did rotations with post-ops for cancer surgeries. I went through orthopedics, and it was so amazing. I still have a love and affinity for science and health. But I realized I actually didn't really want to touch the patients, which probably would have been an issue if I was going to be a surgeon. I loved everything about it except for actually having to interact with the patients on their medical needs, not just talking to them because I love people, but servicing them medically. And so I would say it helped me see that that maybe this wasn't exactly what I wanted. And so yeah, I ended up deciding that I wanted to do something more general, and I chose business, which turned out to be also a really good path for me.
What do you remember most about your senior year?
This is gonna sound like a flex, but I remember all these award ceremonies. So I kind of gamified the scholarship application process. It was different then. I think it's probably still a bit the same, but it was different. So, scholarships you could apply to and universities you could apply to, and they kind of only asked like the same 5 to 6 questions. So I wrote 5 really good essays, and I applied to every single scholarship that I could find. I mean, like 100 of them. And something amazing happened. I think I got every single thing I applied to. And I'm saying that, remember, back to the deleted files part. But I got like, I would say 99% of everything I applied to. Every college I applied to gave me a scholarship and admitted me. And every scholarship I applied to, I got. But, so I just remember a lot of award ceremonies. It was a bit overwhelming. It surprised me. But I do think when you can find the patterns in a situation, I just refined those essays. And, let's just say I took the same 5 essays and wrote them, 50 different ways, but I, refined it for each application. And it was just a really busy time. That's what I remember.
So were there any teachers or staff members at health professions that like help you gamify these things that you were working on?
Yeah, I can think of 3 names that just when I saw the questions popped to mind for me. Miss Randolph led medical lab, and I just remember how she made everything look simple, and she was very patient with us as her students. And so that was one of my favorite classes. Mr. Howell wasn't an HSHP teacher. He was the calculus teacher. But what I loved about him is calculus is hard. I don't care how smart you are. And I'll tell you, when I got to college and I had to take it, I remember sitting in the tutoring hours that Mr. Howell would offer. He'd have like open hours in his class, and his class was always full after school because he made it fun, he made it engaging, he made it safe to ask questions. And when you go to college, if you're afraid to ask questions in these classrooms, it's really difficult for you to pass. So I think, he was a big part of building my confidence. And when you need to know something, it doesn't matter what anybody thinks about it. If you have a question, probably somebody else has it, so you should ask it. And so that was something that I got from him. And then lastly, Mr. Perez. He was a teacher in HSHP. I, for the life of me, can't remember what was the name of his class, but he taught like he actually was a doctor. He had been through medical school. He was in between, I think, applying for residencies, and I don't know where he was in his life, but he was very young. He was maybe in his late 20s. And he brought a love for learning to our classes. He was just very practical about, what it took to do the work. I think he was closer to our age, so I think he related to us, let us just kind of be who we were, and also just made the work itself really fun and relatable. So I remember Mr. Perez. In fact, he had graduated, I think, from Harvard, if I don't mistake. I'm pretty sure about that. And I had sent him a letter, maybe like 10 years later. I'd seen him on something or an email, and just told him how impactful he had been to inspiring me as a student, and just knowing that if you keep going, you're gonna be great. So those are the teachers that I would call out.
After health, you went on to Florida A&M University for both your bachelor's and MBA.
Yeah.
What led you to do that choice?
Yeah, so when I wanted to be a surgeon, I had a whole list of colleges that I wanted to go to, and actually none of them were HBCUs, which FAMU is. And when I decided in my senior year, January, my senior year, after doing all those scholarships and all those early acceptance college applications to be a surgeon, pre-med, I came home and told my mom, I don't think I want to be a doctor. And kudos to her for her not completely losing it. I have 3 sons, and if that happened to me, I don't know how I would react. But my mom really supported me and just asked me what I wanted. I said, I think I want to do business. It's general, I kind of have this gift of gab. Cool, I want to try business. And my mom, who's a CPA or accounting major by degree, has a lot of friends that are in business and was running a business at the time. And she started talking to her friends. And so one of the schools that I had been accepted to is University of Texas. And I called and said, hey, can my scholarship transfer? Can my admission transfer to the business school? They said yes. Had a couple of schools in Boston, very similarly. But then all these alumni from FAMU came out of everywhere, chasing me, saying, if you're going to do business, you have to go to FAMU. And why were they saying that? I now know that, FAMU had the largest number of national merit scholars of color in the entire United States. They were all flocking to this institution. It was winning awards hand over fist. So the best and the brightest from all over the country were going there. And the school and the program itself had lots of connections with businesses across the United States and globally, where they placed you in internships and lots of job opportunities. And so it didn't, it also had an amazing band that I, didn't even know about. But I ended up going to Florida A&M University and having one of the best experiences of my life. I would never take it back. That's what led me to that choice. Best experience educationally, best experience for my career, and best experience for building what we call a family. Our network of alumni is everywhere, and a core part of my life today is just people that I've met or I still meet that are graduates of university.
Speaking of your career, today you serve as Chief Supply Chain Officer at Carnival Corporation, leading a team of over 300 people and overseeing $10 billion in annual spending. What does a typical day in that role look like?
When I try to explain to people what is supply chain or global sourcing, it's kind of dense, right? They're like, what does that mean? I'm going to give you a very simple example. When you think of a salesperson, right? I told you I was the head of sales. You probably have a picture of what that meant. Salespeople sit across from counterparts in businesses. They're called buyers or sourcing leadership, where they make decisions on behalf of companies as to what they're going to buy. So my function is the function that salespeople sell to. So they sell us products. We make strategic decisions. When you have billions of dollars to spend, you don't just show up and say, hey, I just want 10 of those things or 100 of those, item X. You need to think about, why do I need this? Where will I buy it from? How long can I commit to buying this? Can I get a better price if I do it that way? there's a lot of strategic decisions on goods and services that have to be made. Then there's all the contracting and the pricing and terms that you need to buy it. So my team manages that. But supply chain picks up with, once you've decided what you're going to buy, then you need to figure out how you're going to transact that purchase and how you're going to move those goods or services to the place where you need to use them. And so a supply chain really takes that entire life cycle of, the ideation of, I need to buy something and I want to think about the best way to do that on behalf of my company, all the way through to the thing or the service arrived and was delivered and consumed, and now I need to pay for it. And I need to check the quality of that. I need to make decisions around, how and when to move those goods. So that is what the supply chain does. I spend most of my day in meetings leading big decisions or initiatives or setting visions for how we're going to continue to drive value for our business. There's a couple of ways that a supply chain drives value. One, we manage costs. So not only do we spend the money, but we need to make sure we do that responsibly and help save money for our company. We also need to focus on service, making sure that there's never, things are not late, that the quality of what is received is in line or even better than what was expected. So that, for the business I'm in, which is cruises, when people go on their vacations, they can have a memorable experience that is seamless to them because the supply chain is ensured that everything they need is been arrived. So yeah, hope that explains it.
Yes, it did.
So you worked in supply chain and sourcing across several 400 Fortune 500 companies, living in 7 different states. What has been the biggest lesson you've learned from moving and adapting to new places?
People are people. That's what I've learned. People are people. We are just people who conduct business. And all of the things about us that make us unique and authentic are a part of what we bring to the decisions that we make. Yes, we try to make, objective, data-based decisions, but there's also the human factor. And so if you can zoom out from the details of what it is that you're trying to accomplish and connect to the people, and sometimes that's, a cultural connection. If you're in another country, the food, the language, taking some time to understand what it's like to be in the country. How decisions are made are usually rooted in how people think, and how we think is based on how we live and what we experience. So I've had the beautiful experience in my career and life to spend time in other cultures around the world and really show up in a way where I get as much from it as I get from, I'm there to get something, to do something on behalf of my business. But personally, I get to grow and evolve and get a wider lens of the world.
What advice would you give current Townview students about making the most of their time here?
So I talked about internships and things that happen to help make me make decisions and, ways of learning that help me, show up in spaces like college and work, not being afraid to ask those questions. Townview is unique because it's built, the curriculums and the programs are built in a way that help you get to apply your learning while you're learning. That's not normal. Many people don't get that experience until they go get a job or until they get to graduate school. And I say that graduate school is about applying the learning. Undergraduate is about learning the theory for the most part. So what Townview does is it accelerates that experience for you. And so I would tell students, take full advantage of it. Lean into your internships, lean into those experiences on campus where you can, be a part of one of the applications like the labs for me and HSHP or the store and other things that happen in the business school. Lean into that. Try to get experiences, take leadership roles, try, fail, learn. Because when you get into the real world, it's go time. You don't really get that opportunity to just figure it out. I mean, people will be a little patient with you, but it's a little different. So I feel that I showed up to life, the next phase of my life after graduating, a bit more prepared, a bit more eager and able to take advantage of the opportunities because I understood their value because I had experienced them before.
You noted that you traveled to more than 30 countries in your career. What has been like the your favorite country that you've traveled to?
Oh God, that's a hard one, but it's not. Um, I have a love for Italy that I don't know, it runs really deep. It makes me think that like I don't really believe in past lives, but if I did, I must have lived there in a past life.
Mhm.
There's something about the culture in Europe that is it has a deep, rich history in the world. There's a lot of world history there. There's a lot of art and science there. I mean, the history of art and science is there. The people there are very open and the culture is very warm and inviting. The food is amazing. You can't drink wine, but the wine is amazing. Um, I think the actual, it has a lot of different topography. So, you know, they have the mountains of the Dolomites near the Austrian border. It has the beaches of Capri and Amalfi. It has the countryside of Tuscany. It literally has some of the most beautiful geography in the world. Um, and I just love it there. But it's not the only place. I love Southeast Asia, and I've been to many countries in Southeast Asia because I'm truly a foreigner there. It's something about being immersed in a culture where you know nothing. You can't read the characters. They're not Latin characters. So you can't read a street sign. You have to really engage with the culture. You have to plan and think about what you want to do. And it's one of the places in the world where you can truly be a foreigner as an American because English and Latin languages are very prominent around the world. And so Southeast Asia gives you a different experience in that way. Lots of different fruits and foods and just different things that you can't experience here because they just don't grow in our geography. So yeah, I think, but I have to say hands down is Italy. But I love the world. I love all the places in the world.
Kind of going back to your time at Townview, were there any extracurriculars you were involved in?
Yeah, no. I was a student. I was that kid that like hung out with all the friends and like had a good time and went to but also was going to tutoring and talking to my teachers and going to my counselor asking for extra scholarships. I'll tell you a story. So at the end of like the school year, we were kind of in this race for valedictorian. There were like several of us
Mhm.
that knew that. But my friends wider in Townview, I don't think they knew that. So when the rankings came out, I was number 3 in my class. My friends were like, wait, oh, you're that person? I'm like, yes, I'm that person. I like to have a good time, but I also really like to study. I'm very much a nerd. And so I would say my extracurriculars were things outside of Townview. I did, you know, dance. I was a part of a dance organization and I did things at my church. But when it came to extracurricular at school, I was a student. Like I was a homework. My extracurricular was my homework.
This is more of a general question, but where do you see yourself in 10 years?
I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. I did not anticipate that question. I've accomplished a lot. I think, you know, I love my career and what I'm able to accomplish in my day job. And I have a family. I have 3 children. I love being a mom and a wife and having a well-rounded, you know, life. In 10 years, I hope that I'm in a space where I've experienced enough that I can help teach others, other companies, other leaders, how to grow their businesses and their careers based on some of the things that I've learned. And that might be through, you know, books or, you know, speaking engagements or other types of activities where I could share those learnings. That's probably yeah, that's what I would hope to be able to accomplish.
That's great. Going to our last question, this is our signature question. If you could go back and give advice to your high school self at Townview, what would you say?
I would say just be your authentic self. You know, I'm at a stage in my career where I just am who I am. You get what you get. I'm very confident in that, and I don't really second guess it. Yes, I am self-aware and I try to learn and grow, but also I have a great deal of value for who I am and what I can bring to the table. And I think most people, when you're young and you're growing, you have to get to that point. So I was really hard on myself. Like I was always like pushing, work hard, keep going, you know, show up as your best self. But my best self was always there. I didn't really have to dig hard to get it, but I did put a lot of pressure on myself. So I would just say, be who you are, know your greatness. Yes, keep going, work hard, but you don't have to put a ton of pressure on yourself. All you have to do is be driven, be reliable, and be consistent. And it's all going to work out for you. It may not be exactly what you plan, but it will work out for you. And you don't have to put a ton of pressure on yourself for that to happen.
That's some very valuable advice. Thank you so much, Ms. Wright, for sharing your journey with us today. From choosing HSHP to your studies at Florida A&M and your career in global supply chain leadership, your story shows how Townview builds the foundation for success in college, career, and life. Your words give our students inspiration to dream big and prepare for the future. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to this SBM 50 and TMC 30 alumni series. Each episode highlights the impact of Townview graduates and the legacy they continue to build. Be sure to follow us on social media and subscribe so you don't miss the next conversation. Until next time, this has been KSBM Radio, the voice of Townview. Stay awesome.
Thank you for listening to KSBM Radio, the voice of Townview.
My radio station.
We hope you enjoyed the great content and great discussion, all from a student's perspective. Make sure to follow us on Twitter for the latest updates at KSBM_TVT or on Facebook at KSBM Radio.
Add them on Facebook.
Check them on Facebook.
Take care.